The second episode of Pluribus, titled Pirate Lady, dives deeper into Vince Gilligan's new sci-fi world while keeping Rhea Seehorn's Carol Struka right in the center of the chaos. While the first episode, They Live, introduced us to a mysterious alien invasion that turned Earth into a strange version of Utopia, this episode pushes things further by exploring Carol's inner conflict and her growing relationship with the alien visitor named Zosia. It's a story that feels massive in scale, but also personal and emotional, filled with the same dark humor and quiet sadness that made Better Call Saul so powerful. The episode starts with a cold open that could easily be mistaken for a scene from the X-Files. In a war-torn Middle Eastern city, an unnamed woman in a rough burlap robe walks toward an overturned car. She pulls out a burned corpse from the driver's seat, wraps it up with help from a truck driver, and adds it to a collection of other bodies being loaded onto a bus. Once her grim task is done, she hops on a moped, heads to the airport, climbs into the cockpit of a cargo plane, and flies straight to Albuquerque. There, she's greeted by helpers offering her coffee, a shower, and a new identity. This opening shows how global the alien influence really is. It's not just a local disaster, but something happening all over the world. The aliens aren't leaving Earth in ruins. Instead, they seem determined to clean up and create a version of peace that they consider perfect. When the story returns to Albuquerque, Carol wakes up next to her dead partner Helen. She's crushed by grief but also ready for a fight. She insists on burying Helen in the backyard even though the ground is nearly impossible to dig. This scene is one of the episode's most emotional. Carol's anger mixes with love and loss as she struggles against the rocky earth. Her stubbornness shines through, reminding viewers of Everett Acker from Better Call Saul, the man who refused to move out of his home. Just like Acker, Carol refuses to bend. Even when an unknown visitor, the same woman from the opening sequence, shows up to offer help and water, Carol reacts with suspicion and irritation. When the visitor introduces herself as Jarmel Gurki from the Aquafina bottling plant, Carol doesn't believe her for a second. She opens the water bottle and pours it out on the ground, a rebellious act that perfectly sums up who she is. But Carol's rebellion soon leads to devastating consequences. After getting angry at the visitor, she causes the alien to go into a strange fit, shaking violently as if in pain. Later, Carol learns that her outburst triggered similar reactions across the globe, leading to multiple deaths. In that horrifying moment, Carol realizes that her emotions now have deadly consequences. She becomes a kind of accidental mass murderer, just like the aliens who've killed billions in their so-called mission to bring peace. For all her stubbornness and cynicism, Carol does care about humanity, and the idea that her rage caused deaths makes her sick to her core. We soon find out that the mysterious woman's name is Zosia, played by Carolina Wydra. Carol notices that Zosia looks eerily similar to Raban, a character from her own book series, a space pirate that was originally written as a woman before Carol changed it to a man. That detail unsettles Carol deeply because only she and Helen knew that secret. It means the alien has somehow accessed Helen's memories, using them to form a connection with Carol. Zosia's behavior feels manipulative but also gentle, as if she truly wants to understand Carol. Through Zosia, we learn more about the aliens, called Celtiberians, and their strange concept of peace. The episode takes a turn when Carol is invited to meet the other 12 people who, like her, resisted being joined by the Celtiberians. The meeting happens in an airport in Bilbao, Spain, and the scene is filled with weird humor and deep philosophical tension. The 5 English-speaking humans who haven't joined include Otgenbayer, Siyu, Kusamayu, Laxmi, and Kenkomba. They're all surrounded by their joined family members, who stand behind them smiling pleasantly, speaking in creepy unison. The surreal tone continues when Kumba, the most confident of the group, arrives on Air Force One, surrounded by stunning flight attendants, a request the aliens eagerly granted. Unlike Carol, Kumba has learned how to take advantage of the aliens' willingness to please. The group's discussion becomes the heart of the episode. They argue about whether the aliens' presence is truly a bad thing. Kumba makes a strong case that Earth has never been better. There's no more war, no crime, no prisons, no racism, and even animals have been freed from zoos. To him, this is the definition of paradise. But Carol isn't convinced. She argues that what the Celtiberians call peace is actually control. Humanity has lost free will, and even if everything looks perfect on the surface, it's not real. Her speech is fiery and full of anger, especially when she says, "It does not matter how nice they are to us or how many supermodels they send to peel our grapes and jerk us off. It does not change the fact that this is not right." Carol's refusal to accept the illusion of peace puts her at odds with everyone else. Laxmi argues back, saying maybe humanity needed saving. Carol lashes out, mocking Laxmi's son Ravi, who's clearly not a real child, but a strange creation of the aliens, asking him sarcastic questions about his supposed medical and political expertise. Carol's lack of tact alienates her even further, leaving only Kumba willing to talk to her. Despite their differences, it's Carol's growing dynamic with Zosia that becomes the emotional center of the episode. Through Zosia, Carol learns that the Celtiberians genuinely believe they're doing good. They don't kill living things intentionally, but Carol sees through this logic. She points out that the aliens' peaceful invasion has already resulted in 886, 477, 591 human deaths. Her blunt reaction, "I guess you gotta break a few eggs, huh?" captures both her bitterness and her clarity. She understands that Utopia built on death isn't peace, it's hypocrisy. The episode's final act focuses on a disturbing yet thought-provoking scene. Kumba decides he wants Zosia to be his companion, essentially a partner chosen for pleasure and company. When Carol is asked to give her blessing, she's furious. She calls out the idea as backward and disgusting, asking Zosia, "That's your idea of paradise?" Being used like some sex doll. The confrontation nearly causes another deadly episode of rage, but Carol manages to control herself. This moment is crucial. For the first time, she realizes she can't fight every battle with anger. In the closing scene, Carol sits alone on the plane, quiet and thoughtful. She's still lonely, but something has changed. Zosia seems moved by Carol's words, and for a brief second, it feels like there's a real connection forming between them. Maybe this is where the real story of Pluribus begins. Not with humans versus aliens, but with one human trying to make an alien understand what it truly means to have a choice. The final look between them hints at both hope and sadness, suggesting that the line between peace and control will only grow blurrier from here. Pirate Lady captures everything that makes Pluribus so intriguing. It's philosophical but funny, emotional but weird. The show mixes humor about bottled water and Air Force One with deep reflections on freedom and morality. Rhea Seehorn's performance as Carol continues to be stunning. She's sharp, stubborn, and deeply human, even when surrounded by beings who claim to have perfected existence. Vince Gilligan keeps the tone familiar for fans of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, with the same desert scenery, the same dry humor, and the same moral gray zones. But this time, the stakes are global. Even the smaller moments, like Carol refusing to eat a perfect alien meal because she doesn't want to be bought off, or her sarcastic remarks about Zosia's perfect world, carry a mix of humor and heartbreak. The episode also sneaks in clever movie references, from Under the Skin to Air Force One, that give fans something to smile about amid the chaos. But beneath the laughs and sci-fi weirdness, the show keeps asking the same haunting question: what is peace worth if it costs us our freedom? By the time the credits roll, Pirate Lady leaves viewers with that uncomfortable question lingering in their minds. It's clear that Pluribus isn't just about aliens invading Earth. It's about the human soul, the cost of comfort, and the danger of trading individuality for calm. Carol Struka may be cranky and hard to love, but she's also the last voice of rebellion in a world that seems content to give up. And as her connection with Zosia deepens, the real mystery isn't whether humanity can survive, it's whether it deserves to.